Christopher Columbus's voyage of 1492 is one of history's most consequential expeditions, fundamentally altering the course of global history. Sponsored by Spain, Columbus's journey across the Atlantic led to the European discovery of the Americas, initiating an era of exploration, colonization, and profound global change. This extensive narrative covers the historical background, detailed accounts of the voyages, the challenges encountered, and the far-reaching consequences of Columbus's discovery. Historical context: the age of exploration, the late 15th century, was marked by a surge in European exploration, driven by the pursuit of new trade routes and economic opportunities. The Portuguese and Spanish crowns were particularly active, seeking a direct maritime route to Asia to access the lucrative spice trade. This period, known as the Age of Exploration, saw explorers venturing into unknown territories, spurred by the promise of wealth and territorial expansion. Advancements in navigation and shipbuilding technological advancements were crucial to the era's exploratory success. The caravel, a type of ship with a combination of square and lateen sails, allowed for better maneuverability and long-distance ocean voyages. Navigational tools such as the astrolabe, which measured the altitude of celestial bodies, and the compass, which provided direction, enhanced the accuracy of sea travel. These innovations enabled explorers like Columbus to undertake ambitious voyages across uncharted waters. Christopher Columbus's early life background and education. Christopher Columbus was born on August 6, 1451, in Genoa, Italy. His family was of modest means. His father was a wool weaver. Columbus's early exposure to maritime trade and navigation came through his father's profession and his own seafaring experiences. He was educated in basic reading and writing but lacked formal higher education. Maritime experience and vision. Columbus's maritime career began with trading voyages in the Mediterranean and the Atlantic. He became fascinated by the idea of reaching Asia by sailing west, a theory based on the work of earlier geographers and explorers. His concept was ambitious, positing that the Earth was smaller than widely believed and that a direct route to Asia existed across the Atlantic. The proposal and pursuit of sponsorship. Formulating the plan by the early 1480s, Columbus had developed a detailed plan for a westward voyage to reach Asia. His calculations were based on various sources, including the writings of the ancient Greek scholar Ptolemy and recent explorations by Portuguese navigators. Columbus believed that by crossing the Atlantic, he could reach the eastern shores of Asia, rich with spices, gold, and other treasures. Struggles to secure funding. Columbus's proposal faced numerous rejections from European monarchs. Portugal's King John II, Spain's King Henry VII, and other leaders dismissed his plans due to skepticism about the feasibility and the risks involved. After years of failed negotiations, Columbus finally gained the support of King Ferdinand and Queen Isabella of Spain. The decision was influenced by the potential for new territories and the desire to compete with Portuguese discoveries. The voyage preparation and departure. On August 3, 1492, Columbus embarked on his historic voyage from the port of Palos de la Frontera in Spain. He commanded 3 ships, the Santa Maria, the Pinta, and the Nina. The fleet was comprised of around 90 men, including sailors, carpenters, and other essential personnel. Despite initial enthusiasm, the crew faced apprehension and doubts about the uncharted journey. Navigational and logistical challenges. Journey across the Atlantic. The voyage across the Atlantic was fraught with challenges. The ships encountered rough seas, and provisions began to dwindle. Columbus had to navigate using rudimentary charts and celestial observations, with the crew growing increasingly anxious about the seemingly endless ocean. Tensions rose, and the threat of mutiny loomed as Columbus struggled to keep the crew motivated. Discovery of the New World. Landfall and initial exploration. On October 12, 1492, Columbus and his crew spotted land, marking the arrival in what is now the Bahamas. Columbus named the island San Salvador. Believing he had reached the outskirts of Asia, Columbus explored the island and interacted with the indigenous Taino people, who were initially receptive and curious about the Europeans. Further exploration. Columbus continued his exploration, visiting several other Caribbean islands, including parts of modern-day Cuba and Hispaniola. He encountered various indigenous groups and collected samples of flora and fauna, which he believed would be valuable to the Spanish crown. Columbus's interactions with the indigenous populations were marked by both curiosity and exploitation, as he sought to establish a foothold in the New World. Establishment of La Navidad. Founding a settlement on Hispaniola, Columbus established a small settlement named La Navidad, using the remains of the wrecked Santa Maria. This marked the first European establishment in the Americas. Columbus left a small garrison at La Navidad and returned to Spain in early 1493 to report his discoveries and seek additional support. Subsequent voyages, second voyage and colonization efforts. Columbus's second voyage, which began in September 1493, was larger and more ambitious. He brought a fleet of 17 ships and hundreds of men, aiming to establish more permanent colonies and continue exploration. Columbus focused on building a stronger presence in the Caribbean, encountering resistance and conflict from indigenous peoples and facing difficulties in managing the new colonies. Third and fourth voyages. Columbus's third voyage, starting in 1498, led him to the mainland of South America, where he explored the Orinoco River in present-day Venezuela. His exploration revealed the vastness of the new continent, although he remained unaware of its full extent. Columbus's fourth voyage, 1502-1504, focused on exploring the coast of Central America, including parts of present-day Honduras and Nicaragua. Governance and challenges. Administrative difficulties. Columbus's administration of the new territories was marked by conflict and mismanagement. His governance faced criticism from settlers and Spanish authorities, who accused him of tyrannical rule and corruption. The difficulties in establishing and managing colonies led to growing dissatisfaction among the colonists and indigenous populations. Returned to Spain and loss of favor. In 1500, Columbus was arrested and returned to Spain in chains, following complaints about his governance. He was stripped of his administrative positions and faced a trial for his actions. Though he was eventually released, Columbus never regained his former status or authority. The legacy of Columbus' impact on indigenous peoples. Columbus's voyages had profound and lasting effects on the indigenous peoples of the Americas. The arrival of Europeans brought new technologies, animals, and diseases that drastically altered indigenous societies. European colonization led to significant upheaval, including the exploitation, displacement, and death of many indigenous populations. European expansion and colonization. Columbus's discoveries spurred further European exploration and colonization. His voyages set the stage for the establishment of vast colonial empires, with Spain and Portugal leading the way. Subsequent explorers, such as Hernán Cortés and Francisco Pizarro, followed in Columbus's wake, expanding European influence across the Americas. Historical reassessment. Re-evaluation of Columbus's legacy. Columbus's legacy is complex and debated. While his voyages are celebrated for their historical significance, they also initiated a period of colonization with lasting negative impacts on indigenous peoples. Modern perspectives on Columbus have evolved, reflecting a more nuanced understanding of the consequences of exploration and the need to address historical injustices. Ongoing impact and influence. Cultural and historical influence. The impact of Columbus's voyages extends beyond the immediate consequences of exploration and colonization. His journeys marked the beginning of a new era of global interaction and cultural exchange. The age of exploration led to significant developments in science, geography, and international relations. Scientific and technological advancements. The era following Columbus's voyages saw advancements in cartography, navigation, and maritime technology. The exchange of knowledge between Europe and the Americas contributed to scientific progress and innovation, shaping the modern world's interconnectedness. Conclusion. Christopher Columbus's voyages in 1492 and beyond were pivotal events in world history. His crossing of the Atlantic and exploration of the Caribbean marked the beginning of sustained contact between Europe and the Americas. The impact of his discoveries was profound, leading to significant cultural, economic, and political changes. Columbus's journey reshaped the world, illustrating the power of exploration to transform societies while highlighting the complex and often challenging legacy of European expansion. Christopher Columbus, an epoch-making journey.